Welcome to the podcast How to Release Pressure by Using Optimism and Mindfulness. My name is Andrea and I am life coach at my own company, Finding Flow. Finding Flow helps individuals to gain more energy so they gain a higher level of well-being. So they move basically from feeling stressed and stuck into a being of flow. So in this podcast, we're going to investigate how to cultivate optimism, and I'm going to explain something about mindfulness and how it can help you to raise awareness of your thoughts and your emotions so you can deal with them more effectively. So let's start with a question. How are you doing right now? And what was your week like? Was it okay and doable? Did you feel effective, energetic, enthusiastic? Or were you stressed, pressured, and do you feel drained and tired? And the weekend is an excellent opportunity to sit down, relax, and to give yourself some space to vent, to be, and to create some awareness what it is that you need and to give yourself what you need. And most of the time, that is rest. So let me start with explaining a model which is explained in Learned Optimism, a book by Martin Seligman, who is one of the founders of positive psychology. And positive psychology is there to raise the level of well-being of human beings. So the question is, what can you do or what can you change in your life so that you are more positive, optimistic, hopeful about the future, so that you gain a lot of positive energy and so that you won't fall ill and you stay healthy. And when you feel stressed, which is the opposite, that is when you're most likely to fall into illnesses, you have a lower level of energy, you feel tired, and when you go on like that and you don't listen to the signs of your body, basically ignoring them, then one day you will hit that wall and your body will just say, stop, I cannot go on anymore, and it will feel burned out. And that is something you would want to prevent. So this podcast is here to give you some information, to give you some tools you can work with to prevent that you enter a burnout, so that you learn how to deal with stress more effectively and you can change your stress level, manage it, and start changing the way you think, changing the way you feel, and changing the way you behave. So basically we can start with explaining that there is a big relationship between thinking, feeling, and behaving. And it starts with the way you think, because what you think will impact on your emotions, will impact how you respond to those emotions. So that if you would like to change your habits or change the way you behave and you would like to become more effective in life, then you would need to change your beliefs and change the way you think and be more optimistic. And optimism is about believing that you can do it, believing that there is a positive outcome, and you believe that your efforts will matter into changing that outcome or into that outcome being positive. And it is basically a skill you can train as long as you are aware of the way you think. Then you can dispute what you think and start thinking differently when it is in fact negative. So let's start with the ABCDE model and explain how you can dispute your beliefs. So the A stands for adversity. There is a certain situation and you feel negative about that situation. It is causing you to feel tensed, stressed, pressured. Then it is interesting to move on to B, beliefs. What do you believe about that situation? And most of the time we are not aware of how we believe or what we actually think about that situation, about ourselves, about our own capacity to cope with the situation, about the other person. We have no idea because we're basically surviving. C is the consequence. What is the consequence of your beliefs about that situation? And the consequences can be in emotions and in your behavior. How do you behave as a result? Next, start a disputation. So you are aware that those beliefs are making you feel negatively and you behave in a way which is not effective. You create, for example, quarrels, you make mistakes. There is something you would like to change. Disputing your beliefs is about challenging your beliefs. Seeing things from a different perspective, shedding light on the matter, seeing things in a broader vision. So that in the end, you can change the energy of the whole situation and your own energy. You will feel better. The E stands for energization. So A, B, C, D, E, there is a situation, the adversity, it is a setback. There are beliefs about the situation which, as a consequence, make you feel negatively and make you behave ineffectively. And when you start disputing your beliefs, then you will have and create a different energy so that you can move into becoming more effective because you're becoming more optimistic, you're taking a different stand and changing the way you behave. Let's have a look at this as a closer, let's move to it closer by using an example. Last week, and I can imagine that you totally recognize this, I had several people around me that were extremely stressed. And they felt that they were just caught up in this situation and they were actually blocked, jammed, and there was nothing they could do. And so the adversity is that there's a lot to do, feeling pressured, not knowing how to do it in just one day, being able to concentrate badly, having a low level of energy, not sleeping well. So this entire situation. Then it's interesting to see what's under the surface, which is what do these people believe about the situation. So one of the things that I've heard is, I'm the only one who needs to do it. I'm the one in charge. I have responsibility. But there are also other things at play here. What about perfectionism? I need to do things perfectly. I am not allowed to make any mistakes because otherwise people will think I'm a failure or people won't like me or whatever reason there is. And this is different for every single person. So that's why it's interesting to realize what your beliefs are about the situation. Obviously, there is something you believe that you are not able to handle it. You're not able to cope with the situation. Otherwise, you wouldn't be feeling stressed. So the consequence of believing that you are not allowed to make any mistakes or you are the only one who needs to do it and you need to do it that day in that order is that you feel tensed, pressured, stressed, worried, tired, and even exhausted. So the consequence is that as a result, you might lash out to people. You might even have a hostile attitude towards other people. You might want to crawl in a corner and just hide and not do anything anymore. It might be a reaction. Or you work super hard, super focused, and in the end feeling absolutely exhausted. Just talking about this already, I can feel the tension building up just only saying this out loud. So imagine what happens when you're in that situation. So here comes the interesting part, and that is the disputation part. And that is disputing your beliefs. So the belief, should everything be perfect and you're not allowed to make any mistakes? What about changing that belief into, wait a minute, there's no such thing as being perfect. Good is the new perfect. What would actually happen if you would make mistakes, and what kind of mistakes would you be likely to make? And how bad is that? What's the worst that could happen to you? So good is the new perfect. And a little bit of less effort is okay too. And do you need to do it? Another disputation. Do you need to do it? Do you need to do it today? And how well do you need to do it? So basically, you should investigate what kind of pressure are you putting on yourself, and is there a way to release that pressure by having a look at it if it's real, or if it's something that you've put on yourself. Sometimes you say, my boss wants me to do it flawlessly, or this other person lays that pressure on you. And basically, that is most of the time is what you think, what you believe. You project it on your boss, but in fact, it is you that things need to be perfect. And next, energization. What kind of impact would it have on you if you would just say, good is the new perfect, or I don't need to do it today. Let's do this tomorrow. Let's take a step back. Let's take a deep breath and pause. I can already feel the release of the tension. And that is also where mindfulness steps in. Because just by following these steps, I believe you're not there. This is actually quite a rational method, the ABCDE model. But you should, in this case, you should really be able to understand your emotions and your thoughts. And you should be aware of them. And mindfulness can help you to raise that awareness. I've used mindfulness myself in the last week to understand situations, to understand my own emotions, so that I was able to act and respond differently. I felt irritation in one point, but when I paused and took a deep breath, I was also able to dispute my belief that this person was having a really bad energy, bad attitude, and I wasn't liking that person's attitude. And basically I was convincing myself of this, and my irritation was growing. But once I had realized that I was doing that, then I could also zoom out and see, wait a minute, this person is just not only having a bad day, but is just not feeling well and hasn't been for a very long time already. So I was actually able to feel empathy for this person. So I was able to change my energy. And I wasn't irritated and annoyed anymore. And I changed my behavior. And in the end, this person changed their behavior as well. So that's what you get in return. But I wouldn't have been able to do that when I wouldn't have been able to tune in to my own emotions and to my own way of thinking. If I wasn't aware of that, I was just going to think all these negative thoughts and just leave it like that. Or I would have lashed out at some moment, and I even saw that I was kind of quarreling as well. So those were all negative consequences, which I've changed because of the way I thought. Mindfulness, it's not a quick fix. It's something you have to learn, and by practicing every single day. But the impact is tremendous, especially when you worry a lot and when you are a person who tends to feel emotions intensely, and you also change emotions and you would like to deal with emotions more effectively. Then mindfulness can absolutely help you do that, because you realize what kind of emotions you have. You understand that you can take a step back and not get swept away by either emotions or thoughts. And you can just deal with them differently. You can take a pause, take a break before you act, before you lash out, or what you normally would do. Now you would take a breath and you would acknowledge how you feel, and you would say, okay, you know what? Let's not do this right now, and I will give you a response later on if something doesn't feel right and you need some time. So mindfulness helps you to deal with things more effectively. And the ABCDE model helps you to change the way you think, to give a spin to it, to learn how to deal with things from a positive point of view so that you are more effective. Having said that, I wish you a very nice weekend in which you can take a step back, investigate what it is you're feeling and thinking, and change some of it move it into positive, so that next week you can have a very nice week, be more effective, and experience positive emotions. Have a nice weekend and hope to see you next time.